Welcome to the show. It is your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and welcome to the sunrise. All right, I am super excited to be here because I'm gonna keep you company all the way until 9 a.m. and we have so much more to, or even so much more to share with, starting this conversation on the sunrise. All right, now we're gonna be talking about a lot of different things, so make sure to get in touch with us because all you need to do is just text me or call me on 078 share your thoughts, share your opinions, because I would love to hear everything that you have to say. All right. And also, while you're at it, don't forget to go like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and also to subscribe to our YouTube channel because that way you can actually make sure that you're always informed and you are always updated as well. All right. And the best thing about subscribing to our YouTube channel and liking and following us on our socials is that you will always be one step ahead of everyone else, right? You will always make sure that you are informed, that you are updated about all of this, and that you are always the first to know about what we are talking about. All right, and obviously it doesn't get any better than that, so make sure to actually go ahead and follow us on our socials and like us on our socials as well. Okay, and don't forget to download the app either, because that is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, and you can actually make sure that you download that app. All you need to do is just head on over to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and type in Relax Radio and download our app, right? Because it's available completely for free, and it's only there obviously for your convenience. So go ahead and download the app because you can listen into the conversation from wherever you are in the world while you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, and now let's actually head into today's conversation because we're going to be talking about how a strain on mental health services actually left 8 million people without help. All right. Now, the reason I want to talk about this conversation is, look, we know that when it came to the pandemic, a lot of us weren't really having, mental health field trip, right? A mental health had considerably, worsen, and obviously in addition to that, we were having to deal with all of these different things, these different adjustments that we had to go through. And also in addition to that, and a lot of us couldn't really access mental health services, right? And this is because people, if you take school children for example, the way they normally access mental health services is when they go to school, talking to their counselor, talking to the school nurse, whatever it is. A lot of school children didn't even get to access their mental health during this pandemic, obviously because not a lot of schools were open, right? Obviously schools weren't open, so they couldn't talk to their mental health counselor or get that guidance they needed the same way that they used to. Okay, now this is why this has actually put a strain on the mental health services of a lot of places here in England, and how that is going to get much worse. So that is what the conversation is about, and make sure to stay tuned because we're going to keep talking about all of that. All right, now an estimated 8 million people in England who have mental health problems cannot actually get specialist help because they're not considered sick enough to qualify. All right, so apparently according to this, what it means is that you have to be really sick mentally for them to actually consider giving help to you, right? And NHS leaders have actually revealed this because the toll of the pandemic is actually being laid bare right now. All right, now the figure that is drawn up by mental health trusts and NHS providers underlines this gap between the growing need for care for anxiety, depression, and other mental health problems, and also the ability of the NHS to treat them. Okay, so that is definitely what you need to keep in mind. Now, it is in addition to the official waiting list for mental health care, which stands at 1.6 million, including 374,000 under 18s, right? So in addition to that 1.6 million waiting list, all right, you have another 8 million that have to be really sick to actually get mental health. All right, now that is very problematic, right? Because mental health is not something you can treat the way you treat a normal disease, right? If you're going to wait until someone gets sick enough mentally to actually give them the necessary treatment, that's actually going to have a huge impact and a traumatic impact, that I might add, on their lives, and as they move on with their lives, right? Because mental health, like I keep telling this to a lot of people as well, mental health is not something you can play with. It's not something to be taken lightly, because if you're not okay mentally, it's actually going to affect the rest of basically everything else that you do. Right now, NHS England is actually understood to weigh the figure of 8 million, which is based on the known prevalence of mental health conditions and the thresholds dictating who gets access to treatment. Right now, this is actually as an accurate assessment. This is actually as an accurate assessment of of the number of those who are missing out on care because services are already so busy. Right now, this is especially given the COVID pandemic's damage to mental well-being. Right now, we know COVID has also increased anxiety, depression, stress, and also made people feel much lonelier than they used to be. All right. Now, Saffron Quadri, who happens to be the Deputy Chief Executive of NHS Providers, which essentially represents England's 54 specialist mental health trusts, said that these estimates are in fact dismaying. And honestly, yeah, it is. It is deeply concerning that, around 8 million people are struggling with their mental health, but they're actually unable to access care because they're not yet deemed to be unwell enough. All right. So that is what the conversation is about. And make sure to stay tuned because we're going to be heading into a small break right now. And after that, we will be back to discuss this further. So until then, make sure you stay tuned. Hi guys, welcome back to the show. It is your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and I am super excited to be here. All right, now it is in fact a beautiful Tuesday morning, and we're going to be talking about how the pandemic has in fact put a or rather a strain on the mental health services here in the United Kingdom. All right, now it's actually estimated that about 8 million people are at risk, or 8 million people have not been given treatment simply because of COVID-19, and also because they're not considered sick enough to actually get treatment. Right now, this is problematic in so many different levels. All right, and we're going to be talking about all of that, but before we head into that conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can in fact get in touch with us and text us or call us on 078 All right, so share your thoughts. Feel free to actually share your thoughts, share your opinions, and let me know what you think about this and what you feel like needs to change. Right, because if someone needs to be really sick for them to even consider the possibility of getting treatment, then I feel like that sort of portrays the incompetency or failure of health services to actually provide the necessary help needed. Because if, like any other disease, if you don't give treatment to mental health conditions as well from the moment it's diagnosed, what's going to happen is it's going to get worse, and at one point it's going to be beyond saving, right? And that is why it's very important for these health services to actually make sure that these people get their mental that these people actually get the help that they need. All right. And before we actually head into the conversation, you can text me or call me on 07852473473. Share your thoughts, share your opinions, but also you can go like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. All right. That's going to be absolutely amazing. And don't forget to download the app either, because the app is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And that way you can actually make sure that you're always informed and you're always updated about all of these things. So make sure to stay tuned and stay informed about everything that happens in the world by tuning into Relaks Radio. All right, and now let's actually head into our conversation, because like I said earlier, we were talking about how people have to qualify as not being well, or they have to qualify as having possibly the worst condition of the disease to actually get treatment. All right. So like I said, this figure that actually exists shows how there is a gap between, the ability to provide healthcare versus the, people who are actually getting, who urgently need healthcare, actually getting it. Right. Now, something else that Saffron actually added was that, it's essentially when she said, that they can't access healthcare because they're deemed unwell, because they're not deemed to be unwell enough, right? And this actually shows the extent to which, sadly, NHS mental health services, despite significant improvements, are in fact still unable to give people the immediate care and support that they need, right? Because behind every one of those 8 million is an individual who would in fact benefit from all of that treatment, right? And this is the sort of treatment gap we actually urgently need to close. Okay. Now, she also added that the services were in fact overstretched before the pandemic, but said that COVID-19 has actually given rise to new need and it has also exacerbated existing challenges, meaning that the demand is in fact significantly outstripping supply, right? Which means that people need to wait much longer and be more unwell before they are referred for treatment. And this challenge now confronting mental health services is in fact enormous. It's not just something that you can just be like, oh, you know what, like, we can probably solve this problem, we can probably make sure that these people are okay. But the truth is, not really. You can't do that, because that gap between waiting for services and actually getting services is so enormous, right? Because the demand outweighs supply, and that is not it's not something that you can keep on going with for much longer, right? So that essentially seems to be the issue. Now, this 8 million people actually includes people who are suffering from bipolar disorder, psychosis, and even mental health problems that are related to pregnancy and childbirth, right? Now, there are also those who have self-harmed or had suicidal thoughts. So it's very important that these people be given therapy as soon as they need it, right? Because they also include those who would usually be referred for talking therapy. I mean like either face to face or online, or receive support from a community mental health team, or even get psychological help in school, or be treated by or even be treated by an eating disorders or crisis mental health team. Okay, now NHS providers have actually said that the amount spent on mental health care in England actually needs to rise from 14.3 billion pounds to at least 17.15 billion from next year, to actually help cope with the spiraling demand. All right, so essentially, if you want to help these people more, there needs to be more funding that goes into this, so that we can essentially save all of these people. All right. And that is what the conversation is about. Now, make sure to stay tuned, because we're going to be heading into a small break, and after that we will be back to discuss this further. So until then, make sure to stay tuned.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay,